Hi, my name is Ashlyn, and I'm on a journey to own a mortgage-free home in the next 5 years. I wanted to chat today about why it is that I never borrow money. Me and my husband used to live pretty precariously when it came to our finances. We had a lot of debt as far as the ratio to our income. So we weren't bringing in a whole lot of money. We did owe a lot of money, and it was student loans on my part, and then we had 2 cars, and that kind of just adds up quickly. I don't think we had credit card debt. Maybe we had a little teeny bit, but it was the big things were those cars and student loans. And I didn't really think that that was anything that we needed to worry about until I took the time to sit down and add up how much it was that we owed, and that number was scary. When we were in that situation with all of those payments that we were making every month, it seemed like there was a whole lot more month at the end of our money than we could really make work. And though we really didn't notice it like in a way that we could put into words, that feeling of just not having any money, being broke, did have an impact on the way we felt about our jobs, the way that we were in our relationship, and just our day-to-day life in general. So I've gone into our story of how we paid off all of our debt, how we got to this point in this video. I'll have it linked. You can go watch that one later if you feel like doing that. But once we changed our mindsets about money and we really cleaned up our situation financially, the whole outlook of our lives changed. I think one of the biggest examples of this I can say is just the feeling in our jobs. I think everybody knows the feeling when you everybody has responsibilities, things they need to pay for. But when you are in a job that you dislike and sometimes even hate, you're really unhappy in that position, but you have a whole lot of debt that you need to pay. You've got bills that come for your car and your mortgage and your furniture and all of these things that you've borrowed from somebody else. Then leaving that job has a lot more consequences than if you were to just have your normal monthly bills to pay, especially when you have money set aside for situations that would come up where you didn't have an income coming in anymore. But just talking debt, having that job is just a way to pay off the things that you bought in your past, and it's not really going towards things that you want in your future. That already has a negative impact on the way that you see your job, but when you already dislike your job, it makes it even worse. So there was a time pretty recently that my husband got into a job that he was really unhappy and he was super stressed. I could see a major change in his personality, his disposition, just the way that he was. And us having no debt and an emergency fund set aside made it possible for us to say, all right, let's just have you leave the job. We'll just live off of my income and you can figure out what you want to do with something that will make you happy. And that really wouldn't have been a reality for us had we not done the work in the past to set ourselves up for success. Another beautiful thing that has come from paying off our debt is I can't remember the last time that we had any financial stress in our lives. This used to be a constant for us because we didn't have money set aside for things, and we didn't have a plan as far as where our money was going during the month, and so we never had the money that we needed, and we were always stressed about our finances. And financial stress is, I think, the worst stress I've ever experienced. But now I literally cannot remember the last time that we were stressed about our finances, and that's so nice. Like I said, we got out of debt and we put together an emergency fund for ourselves, and so we really just have set ourselves up to be comfortable in our finances. Of course, we have to stick to a budget, and we definitely try to live below our means, but we have this solid foundation in our finances, and so there really is never any financial stress. And that has made such a big difference in how we treat each other, what our lives feel like day to day. It's just so nice to have peace when it comes to your finances, and a lot of that comes from not having debt. Another thing that I've noticed since we paid off all of our debt is that we've learned how to plan, and so no financial dream or just dream in general feels too big. Like our wanting to purchase a home, that used to feel like something we would never be able to do because we just couldn't ever get the traction under us to actually save money, that especially that amount of money. But now it seems like that's going to be really easy to get our down payment, and it seems like it's going to be easy to get it paid off by the time I'm 30, which is an aggressive goal, but because we've set up our budget and we know how to stick to that and how to plan years in advance, I think that's made a big difference in our ability to achieve these dreams that we have. And really, no dream feels too big, which is so nice. So overall, my review: being in debt was terrible. We never had any money. Things felt really hard. There was always that underlying stress there, even when we didn't really recognize that it was there. But having paid off all of our debt, it is just, I wouldn't say life is easy, but it's much easier because we don't have this weight that we're dragging around all over the place. So I 100% would recommend this lifestyle of not being in debt. It is the best thing that we've done, and I think it would probably be one of the better things that you do as well. So if this is something that you haven't done, or maybe it's something that you're looking into, maybe it's something you've thought about in the past, I am rooting for you. I think you should just give it a try. Pay off your debt, see how it feels, and if you love it, then you can stick with it, and if you hate it, it's super easy to get back into debt. Which is why for us, our goal now is avoiding debt. And there's a few things that have been really important in helping us to do that. The first is a huge one, and that is deciding that you are never going to get into debt ever again. I think this really was solidified for us when we were kind of in the trenches of paying off of our debt. It took us like a year and a half to pay off all of our debt. But it was a struggle. It was hard. We had to do a lot of sacrificing, a lot of work, and it did solidify for us that we don't want to get ourselves back into a mess like that so that we ever have to do that again. But deciding that you are never going back into debt, it's just completely off the table. It's not an option. It's such a big deal in moving forward in your personal finances. Following up with that, this goes right along with it, is getting rid of your credit cards. Now, a lot of people see this as a tool, something that you have to have, but we have not had credit cards that we've used consistently for years now, and really it hasn't made a big difference in our lives. We are planning to get a home, and I used to believe that we had to have credit cards to be able to have that credit score that we need to get into the house that we want. But I've since learned that there are options and ways to get a mortgage and get into a home without having a credit score. So that is the route that we are taking. You really don't need a credit score. You don't need credit cards. And the slippery slope that they have to getting back into debt just really isn't worth the 0.2% you get back if you use a credit card. I think for me it comes down to credit cards are a slippery slope. They are, I think, the easiest way that people fall into debt because you just spend a little bit more than you actually have, and now you owe yourself. Really, you owe the lender that credit card, and the rates on those cards are crazy. So credit cards are just something that we steer clear of, and we really haven't felt any difference in not having them. Another big thing is not trying to look richer than you are. It's easy to go to a store or a car lot or just browsing on Zillow or something. You see the house, the car, the furniture, the clothes, whatever it is that you want, and you think, oh, I can afford the monthly price on that. But those monthly payments do add up, especially with the interest, so that you are kind of just burying yourselves under. So you're kind of just burying yourself under this mountain of stuff that you don't really need and you can't afford. So my rule of thumb is if I can't purchase it outright right now, aside from a home, of course, then I can't afford it. And the last big thing that really helps us avoid debt is planning ahead. I think everyone forgets about the big purchases that are going to happen throughout a year. Maybe that's car maintenance things, maybe that's Christmas or a vacation or the medical costs that come with having a baby, all of that kind of thing. But if you plan ahead and work those things into your budget, then it makes a huge difference when those purchases do pop up. So creating a sinking fund for Christmas, creating a sinking fund for car maintenance or getting a new car in the future, a house maintenance fund, that sort of thing, where you know that these big costs are going to come get you eventually, and it's so much better to have that money set aside and plan ahead for it than to have to scramble and figure out how you're going to pay for this big ticket item when you don't have the money ready for it. I would love to hear your thoughts on debt. Is it something that you are in and trying to get out of? Is it something that you're in and use as a tool? Is it something that you're avoiding? I would love to hear about it. I would love to hear about it and your thoughts. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe. I know a lot of my viewers aren't actually subscribed to my channel, so I would love it if you would subscribe and join this journey that we're on to our mortgage-free home. And I will see you again next week for another video. Bye!